Hi, I'm Paul Rushworth-Brown, host of History Bards, Meet the Author, and Down Under interviews in Australia. And we're here with a very interesting author, who's Ralph Jarrells, who's written a novel, Jesus, Judas, Best Friends Forever. Now, Ralph, welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
There is one thing that's sort of like, when my team sent me the title of your novel, it made me very nervous. And one of the reasons it made me nervous was because I would find it very difficult to write about characters in a fictional setting, such as Jesus and Judas. But obviously, it's a very popular book. So let's find out more about it.
Okay.
What if one of history's most misunderstood figures was part of a deeper story in Jesus and Judas, Best Friends Forever? Author Ralph E. Jarrells explores an imaginative and respectful retelling of a relationship that shaped the course of history. Drawing from the gospel accounts and historical context, Jarrells asks a quiet but powerful question. Was Judas only a betrayer, or was there more to the story?
You want to just give us a little bit of a synopsis?
Well, actually, as a teenager in church, I had a question about why would the character Judas, who was clearly the most trusted of the disciples because he carried the purse, and yet this is a betrayer, and I would ask questions to in a Southern Baptist church, you have teachers for Sunday school. So I would be the one asking questions like, why would he do that? And my answer was always, well, it's in the Bible. We don't question the Bible. So, shut up and sit down.
Yeah.
But that question remained with me. Obviously through the years, and Jesus Judas was published in 2020. So, what's that? 60 years I had the question, something like that.
Yeah.
And in researching or in writing my first novel, Ill-Gotten Gain, I found a lot of information about Judas. And so asked our publisher if he'd be interested. And so I wrote the book, Ill-Gotten Gain, and then I asked him, I said, what do I do now? I've written this book. And he said, write another one. So that was the source of Jesus Judas, is there is the subject matter, then we'll do the book.
Okay. So what sort of conversations have you had with your Southern Baptist churchgoers about it?
Well, the book has lost me some family members who don't agree with it, that think that's heresy on my part.
Right.
The people, I would say that intelligent people are going to understand that it's religious fiction.
Yeah.
Which means that a lot of it I made up.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, and actually most of it, is historically structured.
Yep.
And I used the King James Version of the Bible as a skeleton. Yep. And wrote the story around it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Interesting. I mean, some time ago, I was actually in Dubai. I spent a year in Dubai, and in that time, I had a chance to go to the old city of David. And there's still sort of like the archaeologists are still sort of like pulling it apart. But I actually had a chance to stand on the real part of the city where Jesus actually overthrew the coin changes tables.
Yeah.
And that was like, it was just phenomenal. Honestly, I've done quite a lot of traveling in my life, but that's just being able to sort of like walk on the original streets of the city of David was just one of the highlights of my life. Anyway, enough about me. Let's move on with you. So,
well, it's for instance, I've decided a long time ago that I wouldn't do a trip to Israel, to the Holy Land, because my image of the actual places that Jesus lived and walked are now no longer there.
Right.
They're they're different. They're modern buildings built on. So it just seems like it would be destroying my images.
But the thing is that the real old city of Jerusalem, the gutters and the streets are there, but they're about 4 stories below the current modern streets. So you can go there, but as I say, there's still sort of like there's still a dig going on, and there'll be a dig going on for years and years and years. Anyway, what first drew you to Judas as a character, not as a symbol, but as a person, a living person?
Well, Judas was very much an enigma in the Bible. There were 12 disciples, 11 were from Galilee, and Judas, who was from Judea. Also, it's, they depict him as betraying Jesus for the money, but if you go into non-biblical sources, there's every indication that Judas was from a very wealthy family. His uncle actually sat on the Sanhedrin. So there's an image there that Christianity has depicted of Judas that is historically not correct. So I believe that the writers of the Gospels really needed to depict Jesus as evil in order to make their point correctly. Not that it makes any difference. What happened to Jesus happened to Jesus. What happened to Judas happened to Judas. And I didn't change any of that in the book, nor would I there's no reason to. But I think that the reason for making him sort of an evil character is that it allowed good versus evil to be the main part of Jesus-Judas images together.
Okay. So what sort of text and anthropological text did you use to do your research?
And that is great as long as you use 2 or 3 sources, and I always fact check. But I have a complete book, a complete library of Jewish customs, and but the books are readily available. But one of the great ones is a book written by Taylor Caldwell called I, Judas.
Right.
And I tried to use the biblical versions, but I tried to also bring in the actual what it would have been like, what Jesus' life would have been like. Outside of what we know about. So reframing a fixed story, Judas is one of the most fixed figures in Western storytelling. What freedoms and risks, I mean, as I said, it already sounds risky, but what freedoms and risks did you feel taking him out of the fixed role? Well, I think the freedoms part of it is, I think an author in any kind of fictional book has the right to take whatever freedom he feels like is good for the book. And so I did that. I never felt like there was any risk. And of course, I also never felt like I would lose any family members because of writing the book. But that didn't keep me from writing it, obviously. And I don't feel like, in my opinion, if I can get someone to read the book and even think about it, then I've been successful.
I agree. So there's a bit of moral complexity there, isn't there? I mean, your Judas is not a cartoon villain. What does moral ambiguity allow us to explore in that certainty doesn't?
Okay. Jesus knew what was going to happen if we believe what is written in the Bible. He knew every step of the way. So he knew he had to have somebody to be the linchpin to tie the crucifixion with his life and the future of Christianity. So I think there was or at least there was the possibility of a friendship that existed pre-discipleship.
I was taught to be prepared, to be loyal, to do what was right even when it was hard. In 1940, that belief carried me into enemy territory. I became someone else. I wore their uniform, learned their customs, spoke their words. Every day I worked to survive, and every night I wondered what that survival was costing me. Orders were simple: fit in or die.
And that was really the basis for the structure of the novel, was how could Judas and Jesus have met? And it's my opinion that we know that he was born in Bethlehem. We know that, or at least from the Bible, we know that the three kings or three wise men told them to go and leave, not go back to Nazareth. We also believe that there's the angel came and said, go to Egypt. Well, at that time, Alexandria, Egypt had the largest Jewish enclave outside of Jerusalem. It was larger than any of the cities other than Jerusalem. So it was my belief that the flight to Egypt was to get the family to a Jewish community in Egypt. And so it just made sense that if as a child he went to Egypt, then as a child he should meet Judas. So that was really the basis for it. And there's no contradictory information. I guess I looked for that as much as I did information that agreed with me.
Yeah. So Jesus is a character in the book. Portraying Jesus as fully human I believe for some people can be quite confronting. What aspects of his humanity were most important for you to preserve in the novel?
My belief, and I did not want to stray away from the stories out of the King James version of the Bible. I use the King James because that's the closest that I can get to what would have been originally written in either Hebrew, Aramaic, or Greek. And so I just wanted to stick to the story as much as I could, and yet still allow the freedom for the character to develop, Judas particularly, to develop into who he was, and then to develop into the character he needed to be in order to be a linchpin for Jesus and for the crucifixion.
Yeah, right. So would you say that both, who really is is there a protagonist and an antagonist?
Only in the sense that the way the story ends, there's a protagonist and a anti-character.
Yeah.
But I think even in the end, they're performing a role, both are performing the role they were meant to play.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so how did you balance that idea of reverence with realism when writing the dialogue and within the relationship?
Well, and I still attend Southern Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, my Sunday school teacher now has a doctorate in theology and actually taught at a major Baptist seminary. So we have very interesting discussions when it comes to this, but even she allows that there's the plausibility of the story.
Okay.
That it may not have happened, but it very well could have happened that way.
Yeah, right. As you said, I think if any book can get people to think about things and to, I suppose, make their own decisions about what happened or if it happened or who he was, I think that's got to be a positive thing.
Well, and I think it's important for each individual to have their beliefs and not to blindly follow anybody.
He crossed the Atlantic chasing opportunity, not suspicion. In the wilds of colonial America, a young Scot joins a surveying expedition to draw a line that will shape history. But when a man is found dead, the land turns hostile, trust fractures, and Angus Mackay finds himself standing on the wrong side of the truth. In a world where borders are dangerous and innocence is easily lost, how do you prove yourself when death is already on the line.
Well, the fact of the matter is, one of the God's gifts is discernment, and that is the act of question.
Yeah, right.
So in I believe it's Mark, it says, the Bible says, question everything and hold to that where the truth is. So everyone is, God wants everybody to find truth where he finds it.
Yeah, right. So you said that you still go to the Southern Baptist Church.
Yes.
What reactions have you had from readers, and what reactions surprised you the most?
Same as family members, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think the book and the idea of the book causes people to have to think. And actually, if they read it and then come out of it and have an opinion, that satisfies me. But that is something that is very challenging to the Southern Baptist religion.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to think too much.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Do you think this book asks more of the readers emotionally, spiritually, or intellectually?
Well, it was aimed, I believe that everybody has the right to believe as they believe. And I don't expect that my book would challenge someone's internal belief or faith, but I do think it will challenge them intellectually to make a decision. Could it have happened? Or could this have been how it happened? So, I mean, either way, they're cool.
Yeah, right. So thinking about sort of like contemporary times, what do you think Judas represents in today's society? I mean, do you think people think he was a scapegoat or something more familiar?
I think we live in an unusual time, as you know, and I think he still is depicted as being to some extent evil.
Yeah.
And I hate that the book challenges that as much as it does. Yeah. But the book needed to be written the way I wrote it, or I wouldn't have done it that way. I think there are too many people. I don't know politics in Australia, but in the United States, we have developed into a one or the other viewpoint. Either you're red or you're blue. Yeah. And if you're red, blue is bad. Yeah. If you're blue, red is bad. Yeah. And so as a result, we have a dichotomy in our society that I don't think people get over very easily. Yeah. I think that the middle ground, those people who think enough to say there's possibility on either side, I think they're very much a minority now.
Yeah, right.
I think Judas ends up being a foil for Jesus, just like many people are foils today. When they try to be more than just one side or the other.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the Bible, and obviously history, there's been quite a few sort of like instances of betrayal. I mean, the Samson and Delilah was one. Why do you think that betrayal resonates so strongly across the centuries?
I think the belief of good winning over bad is very much ingrained in each of us.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Jesus represents good, period. And anyone else who doesn't agree represents evil. And Judas happens to be the one that goes on the most.
Yeah,
because of where he was in the Bible.
Yeah. So obviously, with all the research and that you've done, and obviously, reading the Bible. After writing the book, did the research and writing the book, did it change how you personally viewed and read the gospel?
No, it really didn't. I believe my faith, my beliefs are fairly well founded and were before I started writing the book. It's been interesting that the research that I've done for Jesus Judas, for my latest book, The Essential Last Supper, and are have really opened doors to make me believe that there is stronger in the stories that are in the Bible, and understanding more why Jesus would have spoken a parable to allow the people who were hearing it to understand and not have to say, "Hey, dummy, look at this." I mean, he used, and the Bible uses very normal situations to illustrate points.
Yeah.
And I have found more to document the Bible stories than I have found it to contradict them.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So as far as personally is concerned, it didn't change me as much as I thought it might.
Yeah.
I like to add a little bit of humor now and then, and because I think that's important in writing. And just an example, we believe the three kings came to worship, and they came to Bethlehem. At the time they came to Bethlehem, Bethlehem's population was 300 people.
Right.
And no king in any generation traveled by himself.
Yeah, right.
So as part of the book, when the three kings come, there are some 360 people and equal amount of animals that show up in Bethlehem to meet Jesus.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but you never think about that.
Yeah.
Also, as Christians, I think we have a tendency to forget Jesus was a Jew.
Yeah.
And so as a result, he would have honored all of the Jewish laws. He would have celebrated all of the Jewish holidays. And that would have been a central point in his life.
Yeah.
And the reason he was 30 years old when he started his ministry is a rabbi is supposed to learn until he's 30 and then teach thereafter. That's Jewish custom.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you've raised some very interesting ideas. So, Ralph, this is coming to my favorite part of the interview, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. So just answer one or two words or the first thing that comes to your mind. All right.
Okay.
So one word you'd use to describe Judas in your novel.
Victim.
Harder to write, Jesus or Judas?
I enjoyed writing Judas.
Okay.
I enjoyed trying to understand what he did and why.
Yep. The scene that emotionally challenged you the most.
Understanding the relative distance and time, and understanding the rigors of what just going from one place to another, from Nazareth to Alexandria would have taken almost 2 months.
Wow.
And they lived on the road for almost 2 months.
Right. Okay. Wow. Faith affirming or faith questioning?
Affirming.
Was betrayal inevitable in your version of the story?
I think it had to be. Again, I don't think it was betrayal. I think it was the role that Judas agreed to do.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah. Did you expect controversy?
Some people think so.
Yeah. Obviously, your family members.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I think it's very brave to write about this sort of thing. A modern figure, Judas, reminds you of who?
Oh, goodness. I think it reminds me of all Christians who have questions.
Okay.
And have to make a decision.
Yep. Is there anybody in sort of like I suppose modern history that you would compare Judas to?
I've never thought about that.
That's why people like this show, because I ask.
You asked the bad questions.
I ask hard questions.
I honestly can't put a name on it.
That's fine.
I think there are, and I used the word foils before, but there are throughout history people that have to be who they're depicted to be, or we wouldn't have the future we have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's more dangerous, certainty or doubt?
Certainty. More dangerous.
Okay. All right. Would you write another biblical character this way?
Like I said, if somebody reads the book and thinks then I'm happy because they've done what I wanted them to do.
Yeah.
Well, short of buying the book, that
Yeah.
first of all, but
Yeah. And what questions do you hope readers argue about after finishing the book?
well, I would like a discussion among Christians whether Judas is as bad a character as he's picked it out to be, or like I said, if he was necessary in order for the future to be what we are experiencing.
Okay. So thanks so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you. And